Welcome to the Soldering Techniques video by Anything in Stained Glass. In this video, we will talk about how to hold your soldering iron, focusing on how to angle the iron so you get a consistent soldering seam while using copper foil. Before we get into that, we would briefly like to discuss our preferred method of holding the iron in your hand. The first instinct of some is to hold it much like a paintbrush or a pencil. However, we do not recommend this, and we find it much easier to control the iron if you hold it in this way. We call it holding it like you own it. It's a safe way to hold it, and it gives you the most amount of control while soldering your project. Now let's talk about how to hold or angle the iron while you're soldering. We have found that if you hold the iron's tip at a 45-degree angle to the glass, it produces a great soldering seam every time. This produces a consistent heat within the angle that allows a smooth, consistent flow of solder. You feed the solder into the angle, or, as we like to say here at Anything in Stained Glass, you feed the alligator mouth. As you feed the solder in, keep your eye out on the soldering seam behind the iron. Watch where you've been and not where you're going. This helps you keep a consistent bead height as you're dragging the puddle of solder down the seam. Now let's see all of our techniques in action. First, you can see that we're keeping the iron at a 45-degree angle. As we slowly go down the seam, we are watching where we have been and not where we are going, while constantly feeding the solder into the iron. And as with most things in life, slow and steady wins the race. Going slow will help the solder fill in the gap between the two pieces of glass, making a strong and sturdy piece. If you go too fast, you could create air pockets, which might make the soldering of the back of your piece more difficult and could also make the piece weaker. The result is a smooth, strong, beaded soldering seam. We hope the video gave you some good tips to help you while you're soldering your project, and we thank you for watching Anything in Stained Glass Soldering Techniques.